to shut the pod. Friday night kebab. Get me with the trigger finger. Hit the bastard.
That was the last one. Get to the indicated pod for resupply. Good, huh? When no one dies. More Zeds on the way. Start to wrap things up, as they say. Keep the area secure.
Risking life and limb, but still skinny. Where am I going wrong? That is bloody putrid.
Final choices, people. Enemies on the scope. You earned the money. Now spend it.
Money, money, money. Thank you, learner.
Hurry up. Zeds are getting closer.
Can't you see I'm reloading?
Thanks, dude. Holy shit, much appreciated. Alright.
That is practice. You could hurt someone with that voice. Stay down, you bastard. Be close. Gotcha. That's all.
Fantastic work. Area remains unreached.
Sweet.
Poor fellas. Bullied him right into fucking the graves. Damn, thank you.
How you been, Flame Trap? Oh, I'm about to die. Hope you're doing good. Welcome. Apparently Genshin Impact is the most successful video game of all time, I believe. Or at least most popular on the planet. Well, that's what I remember. It's a long time to see you. That's right. So smart. Muy inteligente.
Yeah.
See how I reacts to that. Is everything okay? Of course. How about you? It's a good game. Yeah, it's a great game. I played this is the sequel. I also played the first one. Very good games. I like these games because you don't really have to think that much. You just kill things, hence the name, and you just turn your brain off, relax, blow off some steam, and yeah, it's chill. Lots of maps. Simple concept. I've always loved wave games, so like Nazi Zombies and Gears of War Horde and stuff like that. Which I don't know if you're into those kind of games too. They're pretty fun. We had little tolerance. Tolerant. Apologize. But I should play again. Yeah, I should. It's fun. Hella dank. Weapon at RE5 and Invincible Caterpillar boss. So David, Dobby, the guy I played with, we finished that a while ago, actually. We actually played Resident Evil 6 as well. And we ended up getting the Caterpillar boss. So, we killed him. We did it. Took a while. Very annoying. One of the, easily the worst boss fight I've ever had to fight in my life. So far. Literally, it is impossible for me to pass without wanting to just... What, killing floor? Demolition is just doing a bunch of damage. Literally, generally, something. Maybe it's frustrating. Very bad combinations. It's like believing that playing League of Legends, you'll have a great time. Really, with Killing Floor? Or what game? I get. It's kind of interesting because I get zero stress from this game, unless I die prematurely. That's a little annoying, but I move on from that. But if you don't like this game, well, that's too bad, dang. It's a good game. So we play a game of LOL. You go Yasuo AP. Tank Timo tank sounds great. God, I will never touch League of Legends again. Good news about that though. Random note, I didn't spend as much money as I thought I did on the game. I thought I spent $5,000, but it was 2,000. I actually spent 2,000, so that's way better. I still lost money, but that's better than what I thought. So that's good. It's like an investment, you know?
Zeds are getting closer.
My feet are fucking hot.
Your voice is fucking hot. It's better that way. Playing that game is bad for. Yeah, no, seriously. It's too late to
Got
get
the
rid of
silky
it.
smooth gamer feet.
True. 24/7 game after game. Yeah, it's just, and also just waste so much time. You get nothing done besides raging. It's just not worth it. It's not that he plays Lineage 2 or at most. Oh, Subnautica. Here, like games of burning hours from. Yeah, but Subnautica, I don't know. Subnautica's pretty dope. And I have thalassophobia, so there it goes.
Fuck. Yeah, nice job, Bobo.
Never played on this map before.
Old dirty Magnus.
Oh, okay. I want to go something different than the Keltec and M4. And go something completely crazy, dude. I might Max Dragon. That might be fun. Just the flame shotgun. Yeah, let's do it. Sounds fun. Trying out all these different stiff. Try out all these different builds. This map is crazy. Whoa. Yes, let's max out Dragon's Breath first. And see how much damage we can do with that. Max it out. We'll test it. This map's kind of crazy. Looks like a Diablo level. High five. Go rendezvous with the squad. Getting pretty low. Nice. We did it. Hell yeah. Frick yeah, dude.
Reality TV show.
Damn. Not really low on ammo. A lot of shite.
There's sets on the scope.
Oh damn, I thought that was a collectible. That would have been cool. Dang. Heal up fully here. That's nearly all of them. Nice. We're doing it.
Maintain the area's security.
So Dragon's Breath does a lot of damage, but I feel like it needs a higher shell capacity. Because I feel like I have to relive all the freaking time, even if I wait to do it. What is max shell? Max shell's 10 to 11. That's not too bad. Maybe 12 would make a difference. I don't know. I just think maybe because I'm just shooting so much. I think with the Dragon's Breath you really have to not spam the shots as much for sure. You gotta be careful. Could be wrong about that though. That's just my initial impressions. I've used it before, but I'm actually analyzing it now. Just to optimize, figure out what the best weapons are. The shizzle. So, yeah. There you go. Can you shoot that? Yes, we can. So the skulls are the collectibles. Got it. Tired of this. Love is great, but I've heard this album quite a bit already. So let's do this instead. Do a podcast.
I shan't recover this time. I begin to hear voices, and I can't concentrate. So I am doing what seems the best thing to do. You have given me the greatest possible happiness. You have been in every way all that anyone could be. I don't think two people could have been happier till this terrible disease came. I can't fight any longer. I know that I am spoiled.
Oh, already.
Essentially shamed or made in trouble. opportunity to fix them, which means you got to use new skills and like try and experiment and trial and error. And you need to have at least one adult. If you got more, that's even better, but you need to have one adult that is kind of a safe guide, like somebody that you can feel safe with, that's going to kind of get you and say, you know what, buddy, it's all right. Sorry, that one did not work out so well. We'll try it again tomorrow. Versus the shaming, you're wrong. How come you did that? You should know better. Like those kind of things. So resiliency is about having adults, especially as kids, having adults that can say, yep, you know what? Sometimes it's just like that. I'm sorry, but it's okay. You'll be fine.
I had another guy who's a neuroscientist named Andrew Huberman on here, and we were talking about like winning and losing as kids. And he said, it's through your whole life. You got to push yourself. You got to lose sometimes. And he actually gave the percentage, and he's got, research or whatever. He's a Stanford doctor, so I guess he's smart or whatever, Andrew.
Whatever.
But, we came down, it's like 80% of the time you want the kid to kind of do well, and then 20% of the time they should, lose.
Struggle a bit.
If they start, what I did with my kids was lose 90% of the time. Put them in really hard situations, and that's not the good way to do it. Luckily, my kids turned out pretty resilient, but, I was just like, oh, you're going to get beat down. It's going to make you tougher. It's going to make you stronger. And no, what happens is they just start to feel like a loser, right? So you got to be careful with that. But that 80%, I think it's a good number to, okay, 80% of the time you're winning or you're evenly matched, but you're doing well. 20% of the time, you got to be pushing yourself into some situations. And that's the weird thing, getting the SEAL training. I'm talking about kids that were Division I wrestlers, right? Quit. Division I wrestling is so insanely hard, and they have all kinds of hypotheses. Somebody that was a really good athlete, they've never lost. And when you get to SEAL training, you're gonna lose. You're gonna fail stuff, and so that can be a problem with people's mentality because they've just never lost before. And then there's some kid that's been getting beat down his whole life. He's like, oh, cool, I failed. Whatever, I'm gonna keep going.
Yes.
So how do you diagnose? Again, I made the car mechanic thing, and the interesting thing about this metaphor is even a car mechanic, you bring a car and there's a tapping noise in the engine. He doesn't necessarily know 100% what it is. He's like, it could be this, could be that. He's got to dig in there. So is that the way diagnosis works? You're sort of like, okay, here's a problem. You're getting super emotional. We don't know what's causing it yet. That's the tapping, right? You're getting super emotional. And then what are we doing to diagnose? How does it happen?
Pretty much. It is let's look over here. Oh, that doesn't really seem to be the problem. Let's try this over here. Now, personally, what I have found is, and not everybody works this way. This is totally fine, is I like to go into how did you get here, right? So I'm going to ask all kinds of questions about what happened in the family and how were things talked about and what did you experience and how was that managed in the family.
Sorry.
What?
For some reason, it didn't save the
trolley, but
part
you know
where
what?
it was at.
I had someone with me, and I was able to do it, and it was okay, and it didn't stay that way forever. And then so the kind of the insight comes a little bit later with the experience that I can experience some discomfort, or I can let my kiddo struggle a little bit or go through something, and I can actually tolerate some of my fear that this could be devastating for him. Because oftentimes when we get to it, especially for families who have, we're sort of in a good place if a family's coming to us at a first break because we can help them right there. But oftentimes people come to us 14
Like a last resort type thing.
14 hospitalizations in, multiple short-term treatment centers.
What does a break look like? What does that look like?
It looks like a break from reality. It's different for each person. That process sometimes can appear like what you see more often in movies and such, sort of bizarre or paranoia, or I see aliens. Sometimes for people with significant personality disorders, and this way delusions can be grounded almost in something that feels real. It could be a real situation, but it's in fact not when you get down to it. So but ultimately it's just a disconnect from what's happening in the here and now in a lot of different ways, and it could be auditory, it could be tactile in terms of a person's experience of what they're feeling in their body, it could be visual, just a break from reality.
A break from reality. So a family, they got a 18-year-old kid, a 20-year-old kid, they're in college, they're going to college, everything's fine, and then all of a sudden, just give me an example. What does this look like?
So, I mean, for example, what it might look like is they're calling home and like, my neighbors are, they're listening to me. My neighbors are really bothering me. Like they're listening through the walls. I know that they're doing these things.
Oh, so this is like an obvious.
I mean, it could be, yes, or it could be as a parent, you're hearing this, you're like, that's really odd. Like, why would the neighbors be listening to them? Or so sometimes this can go on for a period of time where there's like some things that, you know, you notice some more isolation or not hanging out with friends as much, or maybe there's some substance use that is sort of new. And so it's not always so like in your face obvious. Yeah.
It might not be like the neighbors are watching me. It might be like, oh, I'm not doing anything this weekend.
Yeah, or even how many times we've had like somebody come into the treatment program and the parents say, well, we thought everything was great. He's at college, like seems like he's fine, but we started getting calls from his friends. Hey, we think something's going on. He's not really coming out anymore, seems to be hanging out in his room all the time. But then we call him and he says he's okay. Right, so there's this like, we don't really know what's going on, and how many times we've had families say, so we just decided to like get in the car and drive up there and see what was going on for ourselves, and they find their kid like disheveled, maybe haven't been eating.
So what's going on with that kid? Well, like what's an example of, okay, I get the call, hey, your son is, Billy's not come out with us for like 3 weeks. We haven't even seen him. We just want to call you and let you know, like he's really been acting weird. And so I call Billy, and Billy says, no, I'm fine. I've just been studying really hard, and it's just been a pain in school, and I'm really sick of Fred anyways, so I'm just doing my own thing. And I go, oh, okay. And then, you know, I get another call. It's his ex-girlfriend. You know, I saw him the other day. He just looked totally different. So I drive up there, and there he is in his room. His room is a mess. What's going on with him? What is it? Is it something that he saw? Is it something that got triggered? Is it like, what is it? Do we know?
Sometimes we do and sometimes we won't, and this is where like the mechanic has to come in, right, and figure it out. Sometimes it's going to be very obvious. Like a more common scenario that we've experienced is like everything was fine, star athlete, blah blah blah, goes to college, seems to be making friends, decided to start smoking weed a little bit, and then boom,
Damn, thank you.
it sets something off. Again,
You bet,
some
homie.
people can smoke weed.
Anything for a G.
That will not happen.
Fucking A.
Fucking
there's
A.
some theory and
He said the F
hypothesis
word.
that some people, you can be like predisposed for schizophrenia or psychosis, but it not necessarily come out, but it will under certain conditions, and sometimes drug use is one of those. So you can have somebody who's predisposed, like has genetic loading, and never kind of becomes,
So you go through your whole
symptomatic.
life, and you could be one of these
And then you've
people.
got somebody who has a genetic predisposition, and they go to college and they start smoking a little weed, and it like cracks something open internally, and here it comes.
But it could be a girlfriend breakup.
Totally.
Sure.
Could be, you know, get into the frat or whatever.
Disappointment.
Just something like that. And this can, in some cases, people can just kind of, they're changing. And sometimes it goes away naturally. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, he was bummed out for a few weeks, but hey, we just saw Billy. He's actually
Seems to be
coming
doing
over tonight.
better.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's we can get, a person can get through it.
Sure. We've had folks come in, like the one person I'm thinking about was, I think he was in his freshman year at college. Again, great student,
Got him.
scholarship to football. I mean, just a lot of friends, great girl, like just really kind of all around. And they got a call. The parents got a call from the police, the local police in his their son's town, that they found him like running around outside, like half naked, like kind
Jesus.
of crazy, screaming and doing weird things. And you're like, did you call the right people? That is not my kid. Well, he had smoked. He had never done drugs, or maybe he had it a little bit, but smoked weed, and he couldn't. He's like, I don't know. Someone just gave it to me. So who knows what was in there?
True.
Well, it did something to this guy's brain. I mean, it just scrambled him. He did not know what way was up or down. Went to the hospital. They brought him to us for treatment. Never been in treatment. I mean, had never had anything happen like this before. He was back in school, I think, by the next semester. Like he came in, we got him settled, kind of walked through what happened. Soon as the drugs were out of his system, which didn't take a long time because he wasn't really a chronic user, he cleared, like he instantly cleared in his mind. So in that case, diagnosis-wise, it was a substance-induced psychosis.
Substance-induced
Psychosis. Yep, yep,
So as
yep.
soon as the substances were out of his system, there was no more psychosis. He cleared. So really, it was just helping him almost like recover from. That was a traumatic event, and he was embarrassed and had all the shame. There was like a lot of stuff he had to kind of process and recover from, and then he went back to college.
Same school?
Well, an early intervention there is
Super
huge
early.
because, the further away the intervention, the person starts to find ways to self-soothe or whatever might be,
Yeah, who
and
needs
it
cash?
becomes much more complex at that point. So,
So if someone has one episode, they're
My wife, if
easier
you'll
to
have her.
help than someone that's had
Okay.
28.
I got
My
a mortgage,
parents were just like,
baby.
oh, he'll be fine. Oh, it's just Billy. He acts up sometimes, and then that goes on
Yeah.
for 3, 4, 5 years. He's going to be harder to treat.
or the brain
harder to help.
stays in a constant state of psychosis for a longer period of time. It's hard to know what it's going to look like when they come out of that, right?
Well,
So,
explain what psychosis actually means.
It's a break,
There you go.
kind of.
Yeah, well, it's you had said it
Very
earlier.
complex.
It's a break in reality.
Yeah, there it is.
Psychosis
Yeah.
typically is defined as a break in contact with reality. And what's interesting though about psychosis, and I say this in the presentation and in the book, is people can be psychotic, have a psychotic episode, and it not be related to a mental illness.
right.
Yep.
What would that look like?
Anesthesia,
Mm.
like under anesthesia, people have reported hallucinating,
Yeah.
malnourishment and dehydration. Somebody can hallucinate, hear voices, have delusions.
Sleep deprivation.
Sleep deprivation, 100%.
Yeah.
So there are
In SEAL training,
lots.
they keep you awake.
Yeah. And,
Oh, I
and
wonder
be
why.
surprised if you are seeing some things that maybe are not actually there.
Yeah, I was out in the boat in the middle of the ocean, and I thought I saw like traffic lights, and I was like, "Hey, we gotta stop,"
And they're like-
And I actually knew that I was hallucinating. I was like, "That can't be real because I'm in the ocean, but that definitely is a stoplight, and I think we should stop, but it doesn't make any sense." So,
Stop.
Head injury.
Stop signing. Stop signing.
so psychotic event is when you're disconnected from reality in a big way.
Yeah, like a break in kind of the contact in reality, like seeing something that isn't there, feeling, hearing something, or delusion, right? Like a belief that somebody's following me, somebody's watching me, somebody's out to get me. I was telling one of my friends the other day that in supervision that one of my very first patients who had schizophrenia, and he was pretty severe, had a belief that he was like, every once in a while he was reincarnated as somebody else. So, but like, sometimes he would talk about that like funny. He would be like, "Oh my God, Carlin, remember last week when I told you I thought I was Ram Dass?" I'm like, I do remember that. He's like, "Wow, that was really weird." I'm like, "Uh-huh."
Oh, so he kind of knew it.
And then he wouldn't. Like, then sometimes he wouldn't. He'd be like so in it and very like fixed that you really couldn't kind of talk him out of it, so to speak.
So here I'm going to open up just the biggest can of worms ever.
Yeah.
What the hell happens when I'm on the internet and social media, and I'm starting to think that I'm a little bit conspiratorial, and I start reading various websites that are just totally, Reddit, which is like a website that has a bunch of different random things. I mean, I guess they all do. I mean, you can go any Reddit, YouTube, any one of these things. You can go watch something on YouTube that if you have a little bit of an
Gotta make a
indication
snack.
that the world might be flat. You guys heard of flat earthers? Yeah,
Yep, they're out there.
yeah,
Yes.
that the earth is flat, and there's videos upon videos upon threads of the earth is flat. So if you have a little bit of paranoia about something, that can't be good for you.
You have to be really mindful of that.
The internet is a dangerous place. I mean, like WebMD, self-diagnosing. Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
How bad is that? Like, I mean, you talk about, somebody can smoke weed. How bad is it if I think, I really think that there's a world order that's trying to keep me down?
Well, I mean, I think it depends on the person and their ability to sort of like self-moderate their exposure to stuff like that. Because if you're in a healthier place and you can moderate your exposure to that, and you realize, gosh, I just spent 2 hours scrolling through this, super unhealthy, I'm not feeling good, and I can set some sort of boundaries for myself around that, then like, well, it's positive. You know, I think we all have the tendency towards indulgence in some ways. But for someone who struggles with that or who's coming to